Welcome to The Art of Being Unstoppable, the podcast where we will go beyond the ordinary and embrace the extraordinary. Be part of down-to-earth, no BS conversations where we will explore hot topics on love and money, relationships and business, beauty, and who we get to be with all that shit in between. With our insights and your actions, let's be unstoppable together. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. And today we're feeling a little giddy and a little inspired to share some really deep personal things about ourselves in a fun way. So we're going to play the 20 questions game where I'm going to ask a question to Vicki. She's going to answer it. She's going to ask me a question. I'm going to answer it. And the thing is, she doesn't know what I'm going to ask her, and I don't know what she's going to ask me. So we're talking red flags, childhood, dating, relationship, like anything goes. And we don't know what is going to happen in this conversation, but we got feedback that we're serious all the time and we're never joking. So we're going to joke around a bit. So please watch to the end because my last question for Vicki is going to be a doozy, and it will be worth staying and listening. So, Vicki, why don't you get started?
I think you should ask me the question first.
Okay, Vicki, I will ask you the first question. Do you remember your first kiss?
I do.
How old and where were you?
Grade 2. I was in grade 2. I'm not even kidding. And it wasn't like, it was just like a little kiss, but it was in grade 2. Yeah, I remember. I was in grade 2 and it was in the school ground behind it was behind one of the door areas. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. And okay, that's question number 1. I can't go into deeper questions, otherwise we'll be here forever.
That's right.
Okay, grade 2, you little hussy.
I know, right? Let's not tell my grandchildren that, seeing as they're younger than that. So we'll keep this episode away from them. Absolutely. Okay, so Tina. When you first decided to become a coach, how did you tell because you were a teacher, how did you tell them? Like, did you just quit? Did you take your own advice, or did you kind of make up reasons and excuses? Like, how did you handle that situation when you quit teaching to become a coach?
So the first thing, I remember standing in my living room and I was like talking to God. I'm not even joking. Like, if I had a camera in my living room, people would like be glued to the TV. I remember saying, "Dear God, if I'm supposed to quit teaching, give me a sign. Let me know I'm on the right path." And then I had a library book on the table. I'm like, oh, back in like 9 years ago, right? Like, I don't even think Audible was around. But I remember seeing an overdue library book and I thought, shit, I need to return that library book. But I had my own bookmark in there. So I opened up the book and I pulled out the bookmark. And you ever like notice when words just jump out at you? And then there was like this, I don't know exactly what the words were, but it was something like, trust yourself and you can't go wrong. It was like an inspirational message that I said, okay, maybe that was a sign. So then I get in my car to go to the library, and then the song, Rachel Pattinson, I think it is, or not Peterson, Pattinson, fight song. This is my fight song. Take back my life song. That song came on. I was like, oh, maybe that's another sign. Then I went to the library to return my book, and the lady there, I said, oh my gosh, I think I'm about to quit teaching. And I remember, like, because I overshare, obviously. And she's like, well, what are you doing now? And I said, well, I'm a coach and I'm doing talks and helping people. And she's like, oh, really? What kind of talks? We would love for you to come and do a talk here. I can get you set up. We can do like a library tour. We can da-da-da-da. I was like, okay, that's it. That's the sign. So then the next day I went into my principal and I said, I need to talk to you. And she said, okay. And I said, I'm going to quit teaching. She said, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to ask for a leave of absence, but I'm going to quit teaching. She said, but the transfer papers are already in, like the retirement papers are already in. Like you can't, it's not enough time. Like are you sure? She said, you just got a divorce. Are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I said, but I'm about to course correct my life. She's like, you don't feel certain about that. I'm like, nothing about this is certain. And so she said, okay, if that's what you want, I'll put in the papers. Yeah,
Good for
that was
you.
really
So
what
was
happened.
do you? And I know this is a follow up. This is all. Take this as two
Wait, save
questions.
your follow up. No, only
Okay,
one question.
okay,
Save the follow
okay.
up.
All right. Slap my hands. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, question number 2. Oh man. Okay. When you were a kid and you had to like share, in school, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you want to be when you grow up? When you grew up, when you were asked that question?
I think it was a nurse. I think I wanted to be a nurse. Most of my life, I wanted to be a nurse. But I also wanted to be a private investigator like Charlie's Angels. So it could have been a close second.
Oh, PI and a nurse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did get accepted. I got accepted into the nursing program in Sarnia and at the same time, and I went and I didn't want to do it. I sat there going, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. And my dad was so upset. I said, I want to be a hairstylist. And he's like, no. I said, I don't want to be a nurse. He's like, there's always going to be nursing jobs. And I'm like, well, everyone's always going to need their hair cut.
Yeah.
So I became a hairstylist. Couldn't have,
Hairstyle.
and I loved it. Honestly, I can say 100% I'm glad that I didn't do with what my dad wanted me to do, and I did what my heart wanted me to do.
Oh man, we could have a podcast episode about that.
Mm-hmm. It's true,
Okay.
it's so true. So true.
Next question.
Okay, so because you and I are both divorced, this is something that I've spoken to different people about along my way with speaking to women about divorce. What was it that made you decide this isn't for me? Not that it was him as well, like your marriage, but the second time, like what made you say, no, this isn't, what was something that made you feel like I always say mine was like a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And when that switch went off, there was no turning it back on again.
So, interesting story. I was invited to participate in a silent retreat. It was a 3-day, Friday to Sunday, and the whole retreat was silent. So we ate in silence. We weren't allowed our phones or technology. We couldn't talk to anybody. We did meditation. We went for silent walks and did everything quiet. And when I was sitting on that pillow for 2 hours, I didn't even meditate. So this silent retreat was the first time I had ever experienced silence like that. I didn't even think I would be able to do it for an hour, let alone 3 days. And I remember the first day, my mind was racing so much, like thought. And you were just supposed to focus on your breath, tune out your thoughts. Don't control them or anything. Just notice them and let them go. And that first Friday night, I could not control my mind. My mind just ran amok. And I remember like making myself wrong for thinking. And then I was aware of making myself wrong for thinking. And then I was just becoming an observer of myself. Then the next day, my mind almost got quiet, but my body was in so much pain. Like my legs were falling asleep, and it was just when my body was in pain, my mind was silent. And then it was afternoon day 2, so Saturday afternoon. I noticed I felt guilty. There was a lot of guilt that was coming up for me, and my thoughts were guilt about not being happy in my relationship, and guilt about showing my kids like this version of love that was very disconnected and very transactional. And I started remembering things like my kids saying, kiss daddy, kiss daddy. I'm like, why would I kiss daddy? And they're like, just kiss him. Like, it was almost like they wanted, we were so affectionate with them, but we weren't affectionate with each other. And then it was just like that switch went off. And I said, we tried separating for 3 years. We got back together, and guilt is keeping me in this marriage, not love. Guilt that I was losing time with my kids. And I remember coming home from that silent retreat, and I said to my husband, uh, like, it was really enlightening for me to be in the silence for 3 days. And he said, well, what did you get? And I said, I really saw that I feel guilty about this, but I don't actually want to be with you. I want to be with my kids. And I'm sacrificing my happiness to be with my kids. But I realized that that's actually not even fair for you, because I can't give you what you need and what you want. And this is why it's not working. As much as I'm trying to fit it and feel this, it's just not. And I said, and I feel guilty because we have a good life, and I feel guilty because we have a nice living, and I feel guilty because I hurt you by coming back, and I feel all of this guilt. And I said, and I need to just stop letting guilt run my life. And he said, well, let's go for a walk. And we went for a walk in this conservation area. It was in January. It was kind of cold. And he said, I've been feeling the same way. He's like, so what now? What do we do? How do we share this with the kids? So we worked it out. We told them that we were going to be honest with them, and we were going to consciously uncouple this time. We were going to help them work through their feelings and their thoughts and their emotions. So we went home, we sat them down, and right away they're like, uh-oh, because the last time we sat them down in the living room for a family meeting, we split up. So they're like, are you guys splitting up again? And we said, yeah. And there was a lot of tears and begging and pleading. And then we just shared with them that we love each other, but we can't live together. And they asked a million questions. And then we ordered pizza and we played board games.
Love that.
And then from January till April, we had already sold our house, because we thought if we sell our house, then we'll, like, buying a new house is going to fix our problem. And we realized that is not going to fix our problem. So then we helped each other find a house. We packed up together. We split things together. We worked out our finances together. He helped me move. I helped him move. We had a meeting with the family. And yeah, there was no ill feelings. There was no bitterness or resentment. We're still really great friends to this day, but we realized we were just better friends. But yeah, it was the silent retreat that was the light switch for me.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And
Woo!
I know, right? And you kind of relive it when you talk about it. And I do know that, because I know when I talk about it, I'm the same way. So, but I think the reason I asked you that question is because I have a lot of people that ask me questions about divorce, and a lot of people that I know of a lot of people right at this moment that are going through this. And I just want people to understand that, yes, it's hard. Yeah, it is. And yes, it's emotional. And yes, it's unknown. And yes, it's all the things that you think it is, but it's also all the things you don't think it is. So remember that there's no right, wrong, or perfect way to do it, but you get to be happy and you get to choose your happiness. And when you stand in it, like you did with that power, and I did the same thing with my first husband, I knew I couldn't do this anymore. And I said that. I can't do this anymore. It's not healthy for me and my children. Mine was a different circumstance. My ex-husband was an addict, and he did get remarried after me, which was wonderful, because then my kids had that transition because there was someone else there to kind of take care of them as well, because it was difficult for me to ever let them go with just him. But I just think it's important for women, for people to be okay with what people think is not okay. It's okay to be unhappy and call it forward and choose something that makes you happy.
Well, I spent 2 years plotting my future life in my head. I started thinking, okay, well, we have this much money, and if I walk away with this much, this is how much I can afford, and this is the type of house I could live in, and this is the furniture that I would buy. Like I literally was
Yeah.
like creating this life in my this new life, and it didn't include him. And then so I was already in my mind checked out. But I think that there's a lot of people that are checked out in their minds, but then they're too afraid to take that next step. And I was afraid, even though I was thinking about it every single day. It
Mhm.
wasn't until my father in law said, "Are you happy?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Then why the hell are you still here? What's it going to take for you to leave? Do you want me to give you money? Is that what you're waiting for?" And I was like, whoa, like, I mean, where's this coming from? But really, I was looking for permission and waiting for somebody to give me permission.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but I don't know where I'm going to live and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I just like, I don't want to leave my kids. And I just went to my mom's house and said, I, lived in her basement for a while. And I said, okay, well, I'll just create the space to really think about, is this really what I want? Or am I just believing the grass is greener on the other side? You know, that was the first time. The second time it wasn't like that. The second
Yeah.
time it was very clear. There was no planning out my life.
Mhm.
It was more of like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
So question for you, Vicki. I'm gonna do a light one, a fun one, because that was a little bit like heavy.
Maybe.
um, uh, when you were in high school, did you like have any extracurricular activities that you did, or were you involved in anything, or was there like what did you do for fun as a teenager?
Mm. Okay, so in public school, I was a straight A student. I mean, very, very good student. I was in every after school, everything. I played basketball, I played soccer, I played everything. I did everything. I played tennis, I did swimming, I did it all. I hit high school, and I'm telling you, my social life was way more important than any of that. And I can honestly say that's probably one of the things I regret most about my high school, 4 years of high school. I made some great friends. I have some awesome memories, but it wasn't about school for me. It really wasn't.
Mm,
It was more about the planning the after school, like, parties and all of that. So, yeah. And, I always say this to you, and I would love to do like a past life regression. I want to know kind of, I want to know what happened in my childhood and some of my missing memories one day. I really do.
mm,
I want to figure that out
mm,
because it does bother me somewhat that I don't remember. Um, but yeah, I didn't do much except for have
mm.
fun. But I had a lot of fun. I had a
Hey,
lot of
nothing
fun.
wrong with having
No, but I
fun.
didn't. No, I wasn't involved in anything
Oh, that
extracurricular.
gives me my next question for you. That was almost like
Uh
an
oh.
evil laughter.
Yeah, it did.
It was evil.
Uh, okay, so what I wanted to do a follow up question, and I didn't write it down, so I forget. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question about your beautiful girls, who I truly love and adore.
Mm,
What do you, I mean, they are opposites, like holy, but they're so much alike. It's crazy because my kids are the same and I get that. What is one thing about each of your girls that you are the most surprised about? Like of who they are, like what is something that really surprises you about your children?
Well, we'll start off with Mackie. She's the oldest. Her and I had a very special bond because when she was born, she had an abdominal wall defect. And they told me when I was, 4 months pregnant that she had this defect. And with it comes a lot of possible other like learning disabilities, like other physical disabilities. And they said in the ultrasound it looks like she has, that elephant,
Mhm.
I forget what they call it, but they said it looks like she has facial abnormalities as well. So basically they were saying these are the worst case scenarios, and it looks like she's defective, like deformed,
Yeah,
physically deformed.
yeah,
And because it's early enough in your pregnancy, you can terminate. And I was a special education teacher. So I said, if God gave me this child, it's because this child is supposed to be in my life. Like, there is nothing, she is not deformed. She does not have problems. Like, there is no part of my body or my mind that ever thought that there was anything wrong with her. Like, yes, I knew that she had physical disabilities, not disabilities, but like gastroschisis is basically where your insides are born outside of your body. So I knew that she would have a hole in her stomach, but I didn't know she was breech. So we didn't even know how much would be out. It could be like a little bowel loop. They couldn't see. But then also I had oligohydramniosis or something like that. Like, I had no amniotic fluid. So they thought I
Okay.
had ruptured membranes. So I was in the hospital on bed rest for 3 months before she was delivered. And when she was born, she everything was on the outside. Her large and small intestines, her fallopian tubes, her bowel, her colon, um, like everything. So I remember just seeing the doctor like a deer in headlights, like, what do I do? And I saw all these like intestines everywhere. And the
Oh
nurse
my.
swooped her up and like took her to the back and like put everything in a bag. And then she had all of her insides in a bag, and they were being forced back into her stomach. So I didn't hold her for 8 days. So she was kind of like, she was perfect. She doesn't have any physical deformities or anything like that. Um, but when she was really little, she was very sensitive. I mean, you if I took her to the mall and she would get overstimulated. She would just cry and cry and cry because she needed that like quiet space. Or if there was a lot of people in the house and she didn't know where I was, like, she would just start crying. If people looked at her, she'd start crying. She absorbed a lot of people's energy, and I didn't know a lot about this at the time, but just very, she was born an empath. Like,
Yeah.
extreme empath. And people would judge me and say, oh, you're spoiling her, you're coddling her, let her fall once in a while and all of that stuff. But I just knew, like, 8 days after she was born is when she had her surgery, and the nurse took pictures. She was swollen like a balloon, and she had all these tubes. They had to put like an A line in because she didn't have any veins left to put needles in, because she had been like, she had
Ugh.
so much stuff. And so they had to give her a surgery for that so that they didn't have to keep poking her. And like, not even an hour after the surgery, major surgery, her face is all blown up, her body's blown up with fluids and stuff like that. And she just pulled out all of her needles, the needle out of her arm, her oxygen, everything. She was just like, I'm good. The nurse, we have
Wow.
pictures of it. And she was supposed to be in the hospital. They said anywhere from 3 to 6 months. It was 28 days, and she was home feeding. They're like, we've never seen anything like this. So even though Mackie's very empathetic, like, she feels so deeply for everything. She's very strong, and she's very like determined too. She will love you and respect you and appreciate you and give you everything, but she has boundaries like no other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
she will
absolutely.
love on you, but she will also toe the line, and like, and
Yeah.
where Lexi, she was like healthy. She had a normal delivery. I said a week, and guys, please don't be mad at me for saying this. I said 7 days after she was born, I'm like, she's a feisty little biatch. Like, you watch, you mark my words. She is going to have a big, large personality, and you will not be able to tell this girl what to do. I could tell from 7 days, because she would not take a soother. She didn't like to be held or cuddled. It's like, feed me, put me down. Very independent. She never cried. She was in a regular bed at 14 months old. She never got out of her bed. She put herself to bed. I mean, this kid was practically raising herself at 2 years old. She's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. So that surprised me. She's just so independent. And even now, she had a big falling out with a huge friend group. And she, ninth grade, had no friends, literally no friends at school, the first month of school. And I said, how are you really? She's like, fine. She said, Mom, I go home for lunch, I come home, I do my work, and I leave. I have other friends at other schools. I don't need any friends here. Like, she's just that person. Like, you give her lemons, she will make lemonade and she'll go sell it. You know what I mean? Like, she's just that strong, independent, manipulates everything she can, including me. But I know that she has great leadership qualities.
Mhm.
It's really hard to raise a child that's so independent because I'm like, just love me, just hug me. And she's like, really? Go deal with your own stuff. But yeah, they're very different, but both very, very strong willed, very independent, very self aware. Um, and yeah, like my little besties. I love that.
I
It's a
love
great
that.
question, Vic.
Good question, eh?
You know, I could talk about my kids forever.
I know, absolutely. But you know what? People like to know that, I like people to be able to see who we are and not just listen to our podcast and think we're just these two people. We're not. We're friends. We are in the same community. We met through a horrible circumstance of my own, but yet we've come close and we've become family. And I think that it's important for people to realize that through everything that anybody goes through, once you get through it, there's always something to be grateful for.
Oh, like
And
I just think,
I truly
imagine.
I believe it. I do. I mean, I've lived it these last since say 2017. It's been a rocky road, and when someone brought that to my attention, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I didn't really realize until
Mhm.
my best, I always call him my BFF, my best girlfriend with a penis. Excuse my language. I know that I shouldn't probably say that word. You can bleep me out. Um, but he said to me, you're the one of the strongest. You are the strongest woman I've ever known. Because I had said I
Mhm.
couldn't have done a celebration of life for my parents, right? And he said, yes, you could have. And he put it into perspective for me. Like, you would have done it. You would
Mhm.
have, but at what cost, right? And I was self-aware enough by that time that I knew that no, I couldn't have, because
Mhm.
we were going to wait about a year, and I even knew after that year I wasn't able to, which is fine.
Yeah.
They didn't want anything,
Yeah.
and I did, respect their wishes, but yeah, it was just it put it into a perspective for me that, what, I am. And I looked back at these last, you know 8 years of going, oh well, yeah, I got through it.
Yeah. Speaking of getting through it, my question to you is, most of our listeners know that you are a cancer survivor. And I want to know, what do you remember the moment when you were told that you had cancer and what that was like for you? Like, did you have warning signs when you went to the doctor? Did you think, "Oh yeah, I have cancer," or was it like a complete blind side? Like, what was that moment like for you?
I would say it was a complete blindside. I had had some issues, really, and we had gone through like some tests or whatever. Nothing showed. Like, so finally I said to my doctor, let's do a colonoscopy because something's not right. But I was a hairstylist too. Like, and let's remember that as a hairstylist, we don't go to the bathroom regularly. We hold it. We don't eat regularly. We don't do anything. It's always about the clients first. So if I can give anything out there, don't do that. That's the one thing I'm going to
Mm,
tell women and anybody that's a hairstylist, that take that time for you. It's very, very important, because I didn't know how to listen to my body.
mm,
So that being said, I had a colonoscopy, and I woke up, and I was already out of the recovery room. I was already back where I had started, in this like little cubicle. All like everything was closed. I was by myself. And when I woke up, the doctor who had done the colonoscopy was standing there, and I was like, you're just waking up, and he said, I couldn't finish the colonoscopy. You have a mass. He said, you have cancer. You have, and he was like, and I'm like, where's my husband? Because I was by myself. And all I kept saying was,
Mm.
where's my husband? Where's my husband? Where's my husband? Well, the nurses heard me and they ended up going to get my husband and bringing him in. And he said, yes, like, this isn't good. This was a Friday. This isn't good. You know, it looks like it's stage 4 at best. It's a mess. And he was just, and I didn't even know. I was numb. I was completely numb. My husband was standing there. We were both crying. I'm going to cry. It's getting emotional. But that happened Friday. By Saturday morning, my family doctor had already called me at home and said, there's nothing we can't get through. See me Monday. So I went to see her on Monday, and we decided that I wasn't going to go with him as my doctor because of everything. And she called another doctor, another surgeon right away with me sitting right there, and asked her if she would
Wow.
see me. And she said, absolutely, have her come in. We'll get it done right away, because he wasn't even going to do my surgery for another 3 or 4 weeks. So
Wow.
being that far gone and not being able to, right, to do it, he was still going to wait. And my doctor was like, there's absolutely no way we're waiting. So,
Mm.
and this is all in a small town hospital. So, and I have to give kudos to this hospital, because let me say, when I had to have the surgery, this was now November of 2016, and close to Christmas. I'm a big Christmas fan. My house is always decorated, the whole bit, right? So I go to the hospital, and the nurses come in, and she comes over to me and she says, there's a private room available, and you're going to have it because you have a lot of people, and we need you to be able to have those people around you, right? Because at this point, they didn't know how far along I was either. And so sure enough, they got me this private room. Well, one of my girlfriends at the time, she had decorated it all with her Christmas stuff, made it all feel great, because I was in there about a week, I think. I was in there because they took a very large tumor out. It was probably the size of, I don't know, that big. I don't even know what that is. What would you say that would be,
A grapefruit?
like a large
A
grapefruit?
grapefruit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
It was very large. Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
that was what I was told, and I did chemo. I did vitamin C treatments. I did everything that I could. And if I can give anybody a piece of advice once again is, everybody tells you what you should do, what you need to do, and I understand that, and everybody wants what's best for you. But you also have to ask yourself, what can you handle? What can you do? Because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different things out there, and there's a lot of controversy around each and every one of them. But you have to come to terms with what you get to do for your body yourself as well.
Mm.
Do your research, ask questions, make sure you ask questions. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to help. Like, and don't think you're going through this alone, because I was terrified, right? And I had
Mm-hmm.
kids. My one daughter was in college. I didn't want her grades to be affected. Do you know what I mean? There was all kinds of things happening, and I so wanted to protect my children at the same time, you know.
Mm.
But I do believe that it should never have had to go that far, and it is a genetic condition for me. So it is, I don't look at it, and I am a cancer survivor. I was never told I was cancer free, which is bizarre, but I've never been told that. But I also know that with what I have, I have a higher risk of having cancer again. But I don't live my life like that. I truly want to live my life in the most positive way and think
Mm.
that that isn't possible. And if it is, if that's something that does happen, we'll deal with it when it happens.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty inspiring, because I know so many people that that could have been in the same situation and totally like handled it a lot differently than you. And I've seen that before. Um, I had two clients relatively around the same time, both diagnosed with cancer. One was like, oh my God, I'm dying and everything's awful and it's horrible. And why is this happening to me? And the other one was, okay, this is what I have. This is what I'm going through. And what can I do about it? What can I
Yeah,
focus on? And she did alternative medicine and went to Mexico for some treatment and blah, blah. You know, one, the doctors were like, how are you still alive this long? And the other one, it was treatable, was dead in a very short time. So I do believe that, mindset matters.
It
And
does matter. It does matter. And even if it, and I'm not going to say, even if your timeline is no different, your mindset still matters, because that time that you do have here, how important is that for you? Do you want to wallow and feel like you have nothing, or do you want to actually enjoy that time you do have left with the people that you love the most? And that's the way I looked at it. Like I did. I took a trip that January with some girlfriends. Like I didn't know if that was going to be my last trip or not.
mm,
Right. And,
mhm.
but it didn't matter if it was or wasn't. I still made memories with people, and things that were important to me, I did. And, I rekindled my relationship with my mom that had been strained just before that. Like things, my children and I, like, we're very close. And, and it shouldn't have to be when you think you're going to lose somebody that happens. We should be able to stay present in the moment with that every day. So I
Yeah,
think that
I
that's
love
something
that.
that's taught me that as well. And it takes time. I mean, yeah, we all fall off, and there's a lot of things that we try to do, but yes, thank you for asking me that
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So, how about this, you guys? We're going to get it wrapped up. We're going to do one more fun fact, one more question, and then we'll say it's a wrap. Hopefully, you learned something about us that you didn't know before, and see that we're just real people with real life experiences out there trying to make a difference, sharing our story. So, what's your fun fact you want to ask me?
Okay, so this is for all the single men that listen to our podcast, because this is important to me. Okay, Tina is one of my very best friends, and I love her, love her, love her. But I do think, and I don't think she needs a man, just let's be sure, and let's make sure we all hear me very loud and clear. She does not need a man. But if there was someone that would come, that will come, I know someone's coming into your life, but when that person comes into your life, I know that there's many single men that probably are interested in Tina, and that's great. You can always send me an email, message me, whatever. I can pre-qualify you if you want. But what
Okay,
do
this
you?
is not scripted, by the way, you
I'm
guys.
just
I
kidding.
am totally blindsided. I'm like, I'm like three shades of red. That's funny. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
so yes,
okay.
and it isn't
This is
scripted.
the
But what I
first
am
time
going to
I've ever
say,
been
yes,
uncomfortable.
right? I love it, because you never do. I love this. But anyway, my point is that what are you looking for in a partner? Like, what is? And I know I don't mean just the core values. I mean, what lights you up? I know it doesn't. Let's just be sure there.
This is what I believe. And people like think this is like crazy talk, but I believe that when I meet my person, I'm going to feel it. Like there's going to be this energetic exchange where I'm going to feel like I'm home. Like it's just going to be easy. The conversation's going to be easy. And this person is going to see me not as like Coach Tina or Mom Tina, or they're just going to be like, they're going to love everything about me. And we're going to be able to speak each other's language.
Yeah.
Like we're going to talk about life, and we're going to talk about core values, and they're not going to run away, and entrepreneurship, and they're going to see the gift that I am, the gift that I see myself to be, and they're going to appreciate that, and they're not going to feel intimidated by that. They're going to be like, "Girl, who do you need me to be so that you can shine even brighter?" And that's something I've never had my whole life, and I do believe that he is out there, and I'm not settling for anything less. Like I don't care how much money people have, or it's just for me it's going to be a feeling, and I'll know it when I feel it. And I'm not at the place, like I know everybody says, "Oh, well there's this like you know, puppy dog love," and you feel, no, no, no. I've done enough work to know the difference between like really connecting with somebody at like a heart, a soul level. Like our souls will be connected. So if
I
you're
love
out
that.
there,
Oh yeah. If you're out there, I do need to pre-qualify though. That is one of the stipulations. I'm just going to put that out there. I need to pre-qualify. I'm just kidding. All right,
oh yeah.
perfect. Thank you for that. Being honest and vulnerable, and it's important. Thank you.
Yeah. And, you know, I say sometimes, like, I'm like, you said it best, you know, Tina doesn't need a person, but I feel like love, okay, this is something about me that is kind of funny, but like, I binge watch Love is Blind. Maybe I said this in another episode, but I mean, in every, like, Love is Blind Brazil, Love is Blind Mexico, Love is Blind Sweden, Love is Blind UK, Love is Blind America.
We're
I
gonna have
love love.
we're gonna have one of those. We're gonna have our friend Angela come on, and we're gonna have her come on to do a podcast episode. Angela, I'm calling you out. We're gonna have Angela come on, and we're
Okay.
gonna do a dating podcast episode about dating, and we'll talk about Love Is Blind.
I mean, I'm just in love with the idea of love and seeing
Yep.
people fall in love blind, not seeing each other, but just feeling each other's energy and connecting on a soul level. Like, my ex-husband actually the other day, he's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, same thing I do every Friday night, binge watch Love is Blind. He's like, why do you love that? I'm like, because I love love. I love seeing
Yeah.
people fall in love. I love seeing other souls connect. So
Love
I
it.
don't know, I love it. So
I love
I
it.
am seriously, I'm a hard ass on the outside, but I am a total softy, love, romantic on the inside. But not a lot of people will get to the inside. Like, the right person will like break that barrier so quickly because I am like a mush ball. But I'm like,
Yeah, you are.
guard, layers, you do the work to break them down. And when you
That's right.
do, oh my gosh, I'm like, you are going to be the happiest man alive.
I
Trust
love
me.
it.
You will never meet somebody like me.
Awesome.
Sorry,
True
that's
story.
my little
True
plug to
story.
myself.
Good, good, good,
Only took
good.
me 48, 49 years almost to say that out loud. Believe it
Say it,
and
girl.
believe it.
Say it, girl. For sure. Okay, you
Okay.
have one
My
last question you get to ask me, and then we're calling her a wrap.
Okay, Vicky. If you could only eat one food, not a type of food, like one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? And
Like, what do you
why?
mean? Like, like
Like,
chicken or like
yeah,
that?
one thing. Like, if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Hmm. Can I say chicken salad?
Yeah?
Okay, I would make my own chicken salad. That was what I would eat
And why?
because I love it. I love it. I do. I love it when I make it. It has to be specific. I have to have my things in it, but I love it. I just do. It's so good.
So now when you say chicken salad, because my vision of chicken salad is like the chicken chunks with the mayonnaise and
No,
the onions and the celery. No, you're
no, I'm
talking
talking
about
like
like,
spinach and mixed greens and chicken, grilled chicken and spices and a little bit of cottage cheese. And, that's what I like.
okay.
And I could
Okay.
eat that. My husband makes me chicken and peppers every week, and then I just put it on my salad, and I have that all week. I just love
Oh
it.
my, that's how I am with chili. I think I could eat chili every
Could
day
you?
for the
Oh, wow.
chili. Spicy
Awesome.
chili. I love chili. Chili's
That's
my
awesome.
absolute yeah, I could like eat a pot, never go sick of it, freeze it, eat it on nachos, eat it
Yeah.
alone, eat it with sour cream and cheese, eat it with jalapenos. I
Well,
mean,
I guess,
give me the
when you're
chili.
saying it that way too, my husband makes this stuff and we call it chicken shit. And it's just basically chicken and peppers and tomatoes. It's almost like fajitas, but it's baked in the oven. And you can put that on
Mm.
anything. You can make it as a fajita. You can put it on nachos. You can put it in, anything. Put it on salad. You can do anything. So I might change my answer to the chicken shit.
Chicken shit. I like it. Chicken shit and chili.
Right?
So if there was to be a zombie apocalypse
Yep.
and we could only eat one food, let's just like make a great big industrial size of chili and chicken shit, and we'll be happier than
We'll be
pigs and
happy.
shit.
I love it.
Oh my
And
gosh, you
on
guys.
that
Well,
note, love that. That's a mic drop.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to our candid conversation and just allowing us to have the space to just be humans and share our life with you guys. So,
Thank you, everyone.
till next
Have a
time.
beautiful day.
Bye, everyone.
Well, friends, that is the end of our episode today. If you love this episode, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And please share us with your friends and tag us on your socials at The Art of Being Unstoppable. So for today, have yourself a beautiful day and let's be unstoppable together. See you next time.